What happened involving DK Metcalf in Detroit is the kind of incident the NFL absolutely hates, not just because of what it looked like on camera, but because of what it represents for the league's image, player accountability, and fans' safety. This wasn't a borderline taunting penalty. This wasn't trash talk caught at a bad angle. This was a clear physical act captured on national television involving a star player swinging at a fan's head during a live game. And once something like that exists on video, the conversation shifts immediately from what happened to how does the NFL respond? What actually happened on the sideline? Late in the second quarter at Ford Field, while the Detroit Lions offense was on the field, cameras caught DK Metcalf standing near the Steelers' sideline engaging with a fan seated in the first row. The fan was wearing Lions gear and appeared to be jawing back and forth with Metcalf. Metcalf had his hand balled into a fist as the exchange escalated. Then, in a moment that instantly went viral, Metcalf swung toward the fan's head and appeared to make contact, at least a glancing blow, before turning and walking away. There was no official intervention in real time, no flag, no stoppage. Metcalf remained in the game and lined up on Pittsburgh's next offensive possession. Detroit later confirmed that the fan was ejected. Metcalf was not. That alone raised eyebrows. Why officials didn't act in the moment? From a rules standpoint, this is where things get tricky and frustrating for fans. NFL officials are only allowed to penalize or eject players for actions they directly observe on the field or in their immediate area of responsibility. This incident occurred behind the play, along the sideline, while officials were focused on live action. The league office in New York also cannot retroactively eject a player during a game if there was no flag or on-field ruling to trigger review authority. That's why the NFL released a statement saying it could not intervene during the game. Rules analyst Gene Steratore echoed that reality on the CBS broadcast, explaining that while the incident wasn't officiable in real time, it would absolutely be reviewed by the league's compliance and discipline departments afterward. In other words, no flag doesn't mean no consequences. Why this is a serious problem for DK Metcalf. Fans heckle players constantly. It's part of professional sports. Players are trained from their first day in the league to ignore it, walk away, and let security handle it. The moment a player physically engages a fan, the situation becomes far more serious. The NFL draws a hard line here, and history supports that. Even if the fan said something offensive and that's still unknown, players are never allowed to take matters into their own hands. Once Metcalf swung, he crossed into territory that the league considers conduct detrimental to the integrity of the game. The fact that contact appeared to be made, even lightly, only increases the likelihood of discipline. Likely NFL punishment. While no punishment has been announced yet, precedent gives us a strong idea of what's coming. Metcalf is almost certainly facing a significant fine, possible additional discipline depending on the league's investigation, mandatory review under the NFL's personal conduct policy. A suspension is less likely unless further details emerge, such as confirmed injury to the fan or evidence of repeated aggression. But a fine in the tens of thousands of dollars would not be surprising. The NFL is extremely sensitive to player-fan interactions because of liability, public perception, and safety concerns. Allowing even one incident like this to go unpunished sets a dangerous precedent. Why the fan being ejected doesn't absolve Metcalf. Some fans will argue that the Lions supporter must have crossed a line, and that may be true. The fan was ejected, after all. But from the league's perspective, two people can be wrong at the same time. Fans are held to a different standard. They can be removed from the stadium by security. Players are representatives of the league, and physical retaliation is never acceptable. The NFL doesn't care who started it once a player throws a punch, or something that looks like one, on camera. The broader issue, sideline access and player control, Phil. This incident also raises questions about how close fans are allowed to get to players in modern stadiums. First-row seats are premium, but they come with increased risk when emotions run hot. Teams and stadium security will likely review how interactions along the sideline are monitored, especially late in halves when tensions rise. Still, the responsibility ultimately falls on the player to disengage. DK Metcalf is a veteran, a Pro Bowl-level receiver, a face of the Steelers' offense. The league expects better situational awareness from someone of his stature. Optics matter, and this looked bad, even if the fan was obnoxious, even if words were exchanged, even if Metcalf didn't fully connect. The visual of a player swinging at a fan is disastrous optics for the NFL. That's why this will not be swept under the rug. The league doesn't want headlines about players fighting fans in the stands. It undermines the family-friendly image, raises safety concerns, and invites scrutiny from sponsors and partners. Bottom line, DK Metcalf avoided punishment during the game because officials didn't see the incident. He will not avoid punishment after the game. The video exists. The swing happened. The league is already reviewing it. Whether this ends with a fine, public reprimand, or further discipline, one thing is clear. This is exactly the kind of moment the NFL uses to remind players that no matter how heated things get, you walk away. And DK Metcalf didn't. Today, one image sent shockwaves through the NFL and its fan base. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf was caught on camera swinging at the head of a Detroit Lions fan along the sideline at Ford Field. In a matter of seconds, a heated exchange crossed a line that the league takes extremely seriously, reigniting debates about player conduct, fan behavior, and the consequences of losing control in the public eye. The incident occurred late in the second quarter while the Lions' offense was on the field. CBS cameras showed Metcalf standing near the first row of seats, engaged in a verbal exchange with a fan wearing Lions gear. Metcalf's hand was clenched into a fist, and moments later he swung toward the fan's head, appearing to make glancing contact before walking away. Stadium security removed the fan from the game, ejecting him from Ford Field. No flag was thrown on the play, as officials did not see the incident unfold. Metcalf remained in the game and took the field on the Steelers' next offensive possession. After the game, the NFL released a statement explaining that because no penalty was called on the field, the league's command center in New York could not intervene in real time. However, the incident will be forwarded to the league's compliance and disciplinary offices for further review. That clarification strongly suggests that Metcalf could still face punishment after the fact, despite avoiding an in-game ejection. Historically, confrontations between players and fans are rare in the NFL, and physical contact is even rarer. The league has long maintained strict rules prohibiting players from engaging in violent or threatening behavior toward spectators, regardless of provocation. At the same time, fans are also bound by codes of conduct, and those who cross the line can be ejected, banned from future games, or face legal consequences depending on the severity of their actions. From the league's perspective, post-game discipline is well within its authority when video evidence clearly shows conduct that violates NFL standards. The review process typically involves analyzing broadcast footage, security video, and reports from stadium personnel. Punishments can range from fines to suspensions, depending on intent, severity, and a player's disciplinary history. In Metcalf's case, a fine is the most likely outcome, but if the league determines